Hey everybody, what's going on? Savage Recover here. So, I've been doing some research on pretty much civil unrest for the last 50, 60 years. and it it pretty much comes down to any time that groups want to gather together in solidarity is when people start losing their lives. For example, Malcolm was pushing hate, and then he went to Mecca and seen that all the people in Mecca, all the Muslims were diverse, and he came back preaching unity, and that's when he was taken out by the FBI, or the FBI that infiltrated the Muslim Brotherhood, or whoever ended up doing that. And then they took out Martin Luther King too. And then when Robert Kennedy wanted to look into it, they took him out. So, pretty much, there's evidence of these riots, of them being things being staged and planned ahead for the destruction of these cities. So, pretty much with everything being planned ahead, there's a video of an interview of a person saying that they're talking to each other in every city, and they're going to keep doing this. Also, there are people with blue check marks on Twitter that are tweeting out, and they've been tweeting out that this stuff is going to keep going on until they get elected. So, I really, there's also a lot of things with the Floyd video that doesn't make any sense. As in the recording, the police don't say anything for the whole time, which is weird. They never used their radio, and I'm not saying that it didn't happen or anything like that, but I'm just saying that it was very odd that they didn't call for backup or radio their position or even speak to Floyd or say anything to Floyd. What's up, bud? Not much. Just doing a little bit of a live. If you go back and look into the CIA and the FBI, they've been looking into mind control, or MK Ultra, or Project Monarch. They've been doing that since World War II, and the way that those cops acted is just peculiar, with them not saying anything to anybody or responding to anybody, or them, when they put him in the ambulance, they didn't check for his pulse. With that being said, isn't it weird that during the COVID-19 stuff that we were told that we had to wear masks, and they, in New York, California, and a lot of these states, they were letting people out of the jail so they didn't get COVID-19. And so, just follow me here for a minute. So you're letting criminals out. You're making it mandatory where people are supposed to be wearing masks in public. And then right after, when everything's about to open up, you have an incident with Floyd, and then before that, a week or two before that, you have Audrey from Georgia or North Carolina or South Carolina. I don't remember what state it was, but you have that brought into the news media, into the press brings that out, and that case happened 2 or 3 months ago. We didn't hear any word about it in national news, but they brought that back a week or two before this thing happened with Floyd. I honestly feel that story was brought back to prime people's emotions and get people mad. And then I feel like maybe they knew that this Floyd incident was going on or was going to happen. Because, like I said, that like it's weird about how the police didn't say nothing to him. They didn't speak to him when they got out of the car. They didn't call for radio. They didn't call for backup. Yeah, like none of that. And then now you have people that are protesting, and everyone that's on the ground protesting are saying that there's people coming in from out of state. In New York, all the people that are coming from all the people that are being arrested in New York are from all over the country. They're not from New York. The reason that I say that is because I like one of two things. Either one, Floyd was killed because he was black and it was to push the narrative, like it was intentionally planned to kill him, or it wasn't, or or it wasn't that the cops were racist. Like it was an agenda. Like I can't really. It just doesn't make any sense that there's so many anomalies with this case, and but like there's evidence of like there's definitely evidence of coordinations between these riots, and there's coordinations of things being set out, and it's some of the protesters that are are helping with the rioting, and there's also like the like the deep state or the anarchists or the Marxists or like whatever Antifa, whatever you want to call them, that are doing this and using the like they're using the protesters as a guise as to try to do a rebellion. There's Antifa members on Twitter saying that we're in the mark of a revolution. They're talking about it being a revolution. Like there's videos of people driving around giving bricks to young black males. There's videos of people catching stuff on fire, black, um, white. There's a guy that's in all black with a mask on and an umbrella that's breaking stuff, which he looks more like an agent. Like if you look back at the JFK stuff, they said there was a guy with an umbrella that was seen, which ties back to everyone knows something weird happened when it came to John F. K. being killed, and there was a guy with an umbrella there, and now there's a guy in all black in 80-degree weather with an umbrella with a gas mask breaking stuff. The reason that I'm saying this is because I really do feel that like this is pushing the racial tensions and putting a lot of white hate on people, and the white people are not the enemy. Like everyone agreed that the death of Floyd was unjust. Everyone agreed with it. But by making it look through this prism of race and getting mad, it's just playing into whatever it is going on with these riots and like the coordination or whatever is going on is just playing into that, and it's going to end up hurting everybody. Because if you can't even if you honestly are get mad about racism and all white people are racist and all this crazy stuff, like I literally went through being told I was all sorts of white privileged and all sorts of stuff in a Discord because I was saying that I didn't think that Floyd died because of racism. I don't think it was racism. I think like I don't like there's not enough context to the situation to know what was going on. Like it's coming out that the cop and the guy might have known each other, so maybe it was personal. Like maybe it was a personal thing. Maybe like we don't know when you see a video clip or a video of something, you can't really tell what the context is unless they're like if someone's saying racial slurs in the video, then that's the only way you really know the context of what's going on. But like I think this is going to get worse before it gets better because like these people are going to run out of stuff to burn, and they're going to start moving. In California, they went from downtown LA, and they started going to the suburbs, and they started people were yelling "Eat the rich," and they started trying to loot and burn private communities, like gated communities and stuff. So like any person that doesn't condemn the violence and thinks that this is okay, like they're gonna get to a point where they're done burning everything down in downtown, and they're gonna start moving from downtown to other places, and they're gonna start burning more stuff, and they're gonna start looting more stuff. Like I literally live like a mile or two from downtown Cleveland, and granted, there's a lot of places to go from downtown, but there's a lot of poor community between here and downtown, and if they start coming this way, they're going to hurt a lot of black people, a lot of poor people. They're not. It, you can't say this is for Floyd when you're burning down businesses that they're not even corporations. Private businesses aren't the system. They're not part of being. They're not the cops. Like it was cool and just in the very beginning, but now it's going to get to a point where these people are becoming like they're becoming the enemies for everybody. They're going to destroy a bunch of stuff, and they're never going to be satisfied unless the government comes in with military force and starts cracking the shit down. Like the police can't defend it. A lot of these cities, the police are not able to stop it. And if they can't, if the cops can't defend themselves and they can't stop it, that means that like all of us normal folk that have nothing to do with it, just going to work. They're not going to be able to save us. They're not going to be able to stop it for us. Like, like I literally had a conversation where I was telling them that like burning the stuff down was it's not good for anybody. And I was told that was my white privilege. Like I hate the idea of white privilege. Like everyone has benefits. Everyone has benefits. Everyone has advantages and everyone has disadvantages. Bro, I don't listen. This country doesn't need a purge because once we go into straight mayhem like that, bro, people that don't need to die are going to die, and freedoms and the way of living that you had before is not. It's just not going to end up well. It's just not. It's just. I'm sorry, buddy, but it's not. Like at the end of the day, it's just not going to like that. That's just not the answer. Because at that point, who lives and who dies? No one has the right to decide who lives and dies, especially if we're talking about innocent people. Like, oh, it's for sure going to get worse before it gets better. But the issue is that if people are going to condone the violence and the rioting, then it's only going to get worse. And if people have so much hatred going on for white people, if there's well, this is the issue. There's a lot of hatred going on to white people when white people have nothing to do with it. Like we don't. Your average white person had nothing to do with Floyd's death. All the white people agreed that it was messed up. But if white people are going to start getting attacked, then white people are going to not. They're not going to be for the cause. They're not. If white people are going to start getting killed, then that automatically white folks are just going to start killing back, and then you're going to be into the same type of situation. You're going to have a race war, and the one thing about a race war is there's like 60-70% white people and 13% black people. Like it's just not good. It's just not good to go down that road, because there's just going to be a loss of life that's not necessary. It's just not. It's not necessary at all. And a lot of this writing and stuff it's Marxist, it's communism, it's people that want to overthrow the government, and it's not because they want to overthrow the government for it to be better for people. It's because they want power and they want to oppress people. Like, the Antifa goes back to a historical group that is in Germany called the Brown Shirts. And when the Brown Shirts took power, the first people I'm not saying that, like, there was a lady, there have been white people that have been attacked and killed, but any conversation that I've had about this subject automatically goes with a bunch of racial slurs being said to me, a bunch of racial slurs, and my whole narrative on this is we shouldn't be burning stuff down, and we shouldn't be killing people. Like, that's my stance. My stance is death and fires are bad. And I've been called plenty of racial slurs. There's plenty of anti-white sentiment being said to me just for having that opinion. Not that I didn't say the cops were in the right. I didn't say anything other than we shouldn't be catching stuff on fire, and no one else needs to die, is exactly what was my point. And I'm getting called all sorts of racial slurs about it. So there is a portion of every person I've talked to, seriously. So there is a good point of people that are saying stuff about, like, they didn't want to listen before, saying racial stuff. So it's going to come to a point where this is going to become a race war. The sentiment is, like, there's been a sentiment of white people holding black people down, and a sentiment of white people are racist for years, that it's going to, like, if it's going to get to a point, not in a distant future, that it's going to turn from the police and injustice to just revenge. That's really what's don't worry about them saying, yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, like, it's not a big deal. I don't really care. Honestly, this stuff, like, this is the thing. The stuff that's being said to me, the racial stuff that's being said to me, is just making it, like, if anything, it's going to make me racist than it would not to be racist. Because hearing that it's okay, like, I've been in chats. I've literally been in chats on other YouTube channels. Yeah, well, here's the problem. I've been on other YouTube channels commenting and being told that everything is going to get done to white people like it was done to their ancestors. Like, there's constant stuff being said about white people. I was told that I don't know any black people, like, just a bunch of ignorance. And what's going to end up happening is, if you want a majority of people to agree with you for change, you can't attack them. If white people are 70% of the population and black people are 13% of the population, and you want the laws to change, you can't call us racist and say racial slurs to us and expect us to racism was a system. It was a system. Like, the thing that people don't realize is that not every white person has the same opportunities, not every black person has the same opportunities, but we don't all have the same outcome, but we all have the same chance, is what I'm saying. Some people's chances are better than others, but we all still have the same chance. Like any like any black folks that don't agree that living in America today is better than being in Africa today, like even being black, you're still more privileged than most people in the world. Like that's just the truth. Like everyone wants to sit down on this negative idea, but like if you're poor in America, white or black, you're still considered to not be impoverished based on the world's standard of poverty. I think the I think the world standard of impoverished is like $3,000 a year or $5,000 a year or something, or $10,000 or something. I don't remember the exact number, but it's not very high. So if you make a minimum, yes, I'm not like listen. I don't need to go look at historical. Like this is the fact. All right, this is it's this simple. Was there historical racism? Yes. Has a country gotten more racist since the civil right movement? No, it has not. Systematic racism is not is it's virtually gone at this point. Like everyone wants to harp on slavery and Jim Crow. Jim Crow was voted by Democrats only in the South. It wasn't in the North. If the banks if the banks didn't want to give black people loans back in the day, yeah, in America, if you're making less than 17K in America, but globally, I think it's like 6 grand or 10 grand. Like like if you make minimum wage in America, you're still considered not to be impoverished by like the world, like the UN world poverty level standard is what I'm telling you. Like the poorest white or black people in the United States is still richer than the poorest people around the world. Like people seem to forget that. Like the standard of living here in America is good regardless if you're poor compared to any other country in the like most countries in the world. Yeah, like you being you being broke in America is still better than you being broke in Africa or broke in Asia or broke in around the world. But the point that I'm saying is the country hasn't gotten more racist since the Civil Rights Act of 1964. It hasn't. And if you're gonna try to say it's okay, so if you're gonna say historically, like I'll give you a good example. If you want to say that historically racism was racism, so it's still racism today, then my great 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 grandmother, I think it was 5 or 6 greats back, was half black and half Cherokee. So then that means that I can say that I'm black. If we want to go back to slavery and we want to go back to times and places that we didn't experience, and you want to say that because historically it was true, that it's true today, then that means that historically my great great grandmother was half black, half Cherokee Indian. So that means because she was then I am now. Because she was black then, her parents were black then, her children were black. So that means that I can say that I'm black even though it's that many generations back. like the fact of the matter is no system is going to be able to catch everybody. Not everyone can be millionaire. It doesn't currently affect people. It doesn't currently affect people. And when I say historically, well, my grandmother historically was half black, and so that affects me today because she's still my grandmother, my great 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 grandmother as of today. The logic is solid. If you're going to say something that you never experienced or never seen that was 150 years ago, how is that different than me saying that I'm black when my grandma was black 200 years ago? Because that system affected her, right? that system affected her kids. I'm still dealing with that oppression because my grandmother's black. What's up, good man? Again, bro. Majority of the United States, the median income in the United States is like $50,000. The median income, and that's of every race. The median income in general is like 50 grand. Wealth is lost. 70% of all wealth is lost within 2 generations. It's 80% within 3. Like there isn't this vast amount of wealth that's passed down to other people. The topic is what we need to change about these riots. The perception that's going on, because what's happening is this is no longer about what is like 45, 50. Yeah, the median income. The median income is like 50 grand a year. And that is like 2 incomes. Like that's the average income is 2 incomes. So most people are making like 20, 30 grand each, or like 35, 15 or something like that. There isn't a mass amount of wealth that is being passed down to most people that other people aren't getting. A lot of 70% of all wealth is lost. The riots do need to end, because what's going to happen is it's going to make tensions with race worse, and it's going to not have. What's going to end up happening is the rioters are going to start eating their own. They're already eating their own. Like the snake is eventually going to eat its own tail. Like at the end of the day, this isn't going to get it's not going to make anything better. This stuff is going to make the riots are going to make the racial tensions worse. Like any person that wants to say that the race relations are worse, majority of the people are going to tell you that a white person has given them a job. Most people that get a job is from a white person. Like most of the fact of the matter is there's no laws on the books that discriminate against black folks or Mexicans. Like hell, women aren't even a minority and they get special privileges under the law. The only thing that really discriminates against people under the law is men, and that's black and white. If you look at men and women being charged under the same crime, men get 6 times more time for the same crime that a woman does. Like the separation between the bias between men and women is much, 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 much farther than it is between white men and black men. Like, men are discriminated against as a gender well more than there's discrimination between race. Like, the only reason that I want to bring this up is because when you see everything through race and you can't get over and you think everyone's out to get you, you're not going to get better. And you have celebrities that come out and push this nonsense on people. Like, if you tell people long enough that you can't make it because you're black, people are not going to try that hard. Like, most of the time, a lot of this stuff comes down to personal responsibility. Like, like the stuff that happened during the 1930s and 1940s and the 1950s was not good, but we don't live under that system. Like, our lives are so integrated that, like, there's far more poor white people. There's white people that live in the same neighborhoods blacks live in. Like, we're so far from the prior to the civil rights movement that, like, race is really not as big of a problem as it was prior to the civil rights movement. And when you say systematic racism, the problem that you're forgetting is that most of the laws, like Jim Crow and slavery, were in the South with Southerners. They were Democrats. It wasn't people in the North that owned slaves. It wasn't people in the North that had Jim Crow. The blacks in the North weren't treated like they were in the South. A lot of the people that got slaves freed, part of the Underground Railroad, were from the North that helped get people through the North to Canada to be free. Like, it's just being disingenuous to lump a certain group of people doing something to all people and then to say that's still persistent. Like, if that was the case, then there's a ridiculous amount of middle class and wealthy black folks. Like, you can't take people saying mean stuff as everyone in the system is racist. Like, that's literally, like, I've had like 5 to 10 people say racist slurs to me in the last couple of days because of this stuff. And that's literally like, okay, well, all black people are racist. I don't need to talk to any black people. I don't need to help any black people. I don't need to care about black people. Like, it's being disingenuous. It's just being disingenuous. Like, bad stuff happens to everybody. It does. Bad stuff happens to everybody. Like you can't stop stuff like that. Like, you're never going to be able to legislate you're never going to be able to legislate morality into people. You can't. And just to point something out, the alphabet community has been pushed into society so hard for the last 5-6 years that people as a whole, the approval rating of the LGBTQ community is dropping for the first time in year ever. It's the first time ever. Like, less people are being sympathetic to the cause because it's being shoved down our throats. So it's going to be the same idea. You can't protest and have riots and make comments about white folks and expect white folks to want to help or not feel some kind of way or things to get better. The only way for things to get better is with unity. Like, once people realize that, like, you either are elite or you're not, that's the issue. Like, that's the issue. Like, we're all slaves. We're all debt slaves. Like, all of us, everybody. When, like, our labor is made to pay off the interest of the Federal Reserve. We're all debt slaves. Like they make money by putting us all in jail. They make money by all these things. Like their drugs are coming into the system. We're all getting killed. Like it's affecting everybody. Like if you go back to the 90s, like race relations were much better in the 90s. Well, this is the problem, good man or good men. The problem is that black folks have been being taught and pushed by the by the Democrats to be in fear that there's always someone out there to get you. That's how they see everything. Like if I was to show a clip of a white guy and a black guy fighting, most people are gonna say, yeah. Until the like in the mid '90s, like in the mid '90s, race relations were pretty good. Like blacks and whites that worked together like made jokes with each other, like they used to call Irish people mix, and like they made jokes. But since then, like it's been getting worse, to the point where like this sensitivity to everything is just it's getting worse. Like you really can't, like I'm telling you, as a white person, if I was to say the N word and then try to get anyone to join my cause, no one would. No one would. But only black folks will say a bunch of bigoted white stuff about white people and still expect, like, and don't you can't, like, Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter has talked about how, like, you have pro blacks, you have all sorts of groups that talk trash. You have all sorts of groups that talk trash about white people. They like the only people you can talk about and get away with it on Twitter. On Twitter, there's prominent, like, Black Lives Matter that talk about how all white people are racist and all white people are, like, all sorts of crazy stuff. All right, you can talk so much trash about white people, but then like 3 years later, no one can correlate that maybe that the racist thing that someone said to you 3 weeks ago was maybe because the tension towards white people has been getting worse. Like 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 if I said some racist stuff and then I tried to but it it's no, but it's you were but no one was a slave. No one was ever a slave. No one alive was ever a slave. It's not different. The difference is if I say something to you that's racist, you're going to get mad about it. You're not going to want to help the person or do the cause that person is trying to put together. Like, regardless, racism is racism. You say some racist stuff to Asian people, they're not going to want to support whatever ideas that you have after you said some racist shit to them. It's the same thing with white people. Like, nobody wants to get racial slurs for no reason. Like, no one's gonna help you with that. Like, nobody. You like, if you call a Colombian Mexican, you don't you don't mean nothing by it. You don't know you don't know what their ethnicity is. It's a mistake. They get mad. Like, there's like, so people are so sensitive about stuff that once you start saying racial slurs to people, you're not going to get anyone to agree with you or be on your side. And your average person isn't going to agree with people burning stuff down. So, like, all this stuff that's going on isn't going to benefit. It's not going to get the reaction that I think people want, because at some point the stuff's going to be over and people are going to remember all the anti-white stuff that's being said. A lot of the people are going to remember their businesses being destroyed. A lot of people are going to remember the terror that they were in because MTR had to buy a gun. Like MTR had to protect himself. There's a lot of people that are having to like be sheltered inside in these cities and have guns. Like no one's going to agree with anything that puts them in terror. Like people are going to agree with it, and then once it starts to get bad, and everyone is getting punished. No one's going to agree with it. Like you've got black folks in communities that are sheltering in place with guns out of the fear of the riots. How is that like how is victimizing other black people or other just regular citizens like Mexican, like just regular people, how does that bolster support or bolster anything to help get the message across? Like like just like those two dudes that ended up shooting that guy, and I think it was Georgia. Like no one thought that was just. Like no one thought that they should have done that. Everyone could agree on that, just like no one agrees that the police should have done what they did. But but to automatically take it toward that, I agree that they're exploiting it, but this is the problem. There are people in this country that are communists that want to take over the government. Hillary Clinton said that there wasn't going to be any peace until they got power back. She said that months ago. If you remember, Obama came out and said that COVID-19 was racist. The lockdowns were oppression on black people. He said that like a month or two ago. Like they've been putting this narrative into the psyche of people for months. Isn't it crazy that everyone had to wear a mask, and now right after the COVID, when people realize that it's malarkey, that now people. Yes, but what I'm saying is they made it to where you had to wear a mask, and not only did you have to wear a mask, but they let criminals out of jail. And then right after they made it to where you had to wear a mask, there's these protesters where all these protesters are wearing masks now, and it used to be illegal to have a mask on. Like Clinton's like this is like this idea to get racial tension and riots going has been planned. Yes, but this is the idea. If you know that they're going to exploit it, then why would anyone want to be the fodder for it? The reason that race is pushed so hard in America is because the Democrats can the only way they can get power is by the fear of racism. That's the truth. Like I just want you to think about this. The people that gave feminism to the black community is the same people that are saying that in 2020 race is the primary issue. And that same issue that they're saying is that cops are racist and that they need to be dealt with, but they're also saying that no one should have guns and only the police should have guns. Like that's the problem. Like these narratives don't even match up, but people want to fall for it hook, line, and sinker. Like I just want it to be known that like for a fact, conservatives believe strongly in the Second Amendment. if you're able to own a gun, they believe that you should. It was the Republicans that fought to give guns to slaves after slavery, and it was the Democrats that tried to take guns from the slaves. And if you go and look at all major cities where gun control is used the most, it's in democratic cities on minorities. So like a lot of the stuff that's being said is from the Democrats that people vote for, but then that is getting pushed to all people, and that's the problem. Like I just think that we need to settle down and we need to think logically, because if we keep going down this road, it's going to get to a slippery slope where it's just not going to be good for anybody. Like most people have kids and family and they don't want bad stuff to happen to them. And if we keep going down this path, it's just going to get worse for everybody, and it's going to put our kids at jeopardy. It's going to put our families at jeopardy. Like they want us to riot. They want there to be yeah, and but what I'm saying is the narrative that they're pushing is racism is the biggest part. Like they're saying that women are oppressed, bro. Democrats are saying that women are oppressed, gays are oppressed, blacks are there's racists pushing blacks down. Like their whole narrative is that everyone's oppressed except for white people. Like that's literally what they preach. Like no one can cognitively say that maybe things aren't as bad as we keep being told in the media. Like like people are going to exploit this, and if you know this is going to get exploited, then like the best thing to do is not to let them exploit you. And I feel that all these people being down there and rioting and burning stuff, the rioters or the protesters or whoever it is, like it doesn't at this point matter, because if you're protesting and they're rioting, you're going to be guilty by association. If you go and look, the police are shooting pepper bullets at the media, because when they say clear out, they mean everybody. It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter if you were peacefully protesting or if someone else was peacefully protesting. When they say cleared out, like there was 2 cops that were shot in Minnesota, I think, or no, the Bay Area in California. There was 2 cops that were shot. They were federal police. They were just guarding a building. Yeah, but the minority isn't going to vote for the minority vote isn't going to vote for the Democrats if they don't think that racism is a huge deal. And racism is not like, I'm not saying that racism isn't a problem, but it's not number one. Fatherless homes, like fatherless homes is definitely one. Like like uh crime's a big one, like for everybody. Like if you can get more males in households, then you'll have stronger children, and you'll have more stability. Like I would say racism is not in the top 3 of stuff in the black community. Like abortion in the black community is bad. Like there's places that have a 50-50 chance of a baby being born. like I just don't think that personally that racism is the biggest thing, and that people need to look everything through racism. Like my son's black, and I'm not going to teach my son this. Like I'm just not, because it doesn't benefit anyone to tell them that there's someone out to get them around every corner and every place. They're just not. Like I was told today that I had white guilt, and that not only did I have white guilt, but I also was privileged. And I made the comment of, well, then I have to stop and I have to cut off my son, because I can't let my son think that me being nice to him because I'm white is me having white guilt, and I can't punish him, because then I would be oppressing him because I'm white. So I just have to let his mom raise him. Makes sense to me, right? Like I'm a white guy. he's a black child. I can't discipline him if he's bad, because then I'm just oppressing him. I'm being exactly what white people are, just callous, mean serial killers, just oppressing minorities. That's all we do. But that's pretty much it for this live stream, guys. I just wanted to do some thoughts about the riots. I don't think these riots are going to benefit anybody. I don't think any of this stuff is going to go well for anybody. Not the people that they were meant to help, not the people. Like, listen, there's people that have GoFundMe's for Floyd that are using Floyd's death to get money for themselves that has nothing to do with his family. Like, looting isn't for Floyd. Attacking people isn't for Floyd. Like, none of this stuff that's going on. I don't know what white guilt is. I don't even know what white privilege is. But, they keep saying that I have it. So, just because you say it means it's true. Yeah. Here, I'm going to share my screen. They did. So that's my son. Within 3 days of the death of Floyd, the guy was fired, divorced, and charged with third-degree murder. Within 3 days, before the weekend was over. The FBI is investigating it. The justice system is investigating it. Everybody did not agree with what happened, and everybody took action that needed to take action, and the rioting is still going on. Here, I'm gonna play a video, but so that's my son. He's 3. Yes, like I live in a black community. My son's black. I hang out with mostly black people. I know nothing at all about. I only have 2 baby moms, thank you. Only 2. I don't have 4. Okay. The other 3 cops? No, because this is the issue. One, those other cops restraining the guy technically isn't breaking the law, for one. For 2, those cops had to be there. Well, it doesn't matter if they will or not. Just because Floyd died, those other 3 cops, you have to look into it to even be able to charge them, to know if their role was a crime. Like, just because you've seen something on camera does not mean that they didn't do something to policy, or that they were willfully killing the guy. Like, that's the problem with these things. You see something on a camera and you get hurt, and your feelings get mad, and you get all in your feelings, and then you want justice, but justice doesn't work instantly. It doesn't. Like, there was a guy, like, here, I'm going to bring this up. Yes, they could get manslaughter. I'm not saying they couldn't, but you cannot charge two police officers who were there. Like, this is what you gotta understand. There were two, but you can't just charge people with crimes. Like, that's what you don't get. And also, cops are sovereign citizens, so they actually have immunity under the law. So they have to investigate and see if they even broke the if it. You have to let them see if they violated their immunity. So you can't just charge cops. Like, you can't. Like, the guy that was on dude's neck, you can clearly see that he shouldn't have been on dude's neck. But dude that's on dude's legs, you can't tell me that the dude, but the guy that's on his knees, like, if you have three people on somebody and one guy's on dude's neck and the other dude's on dude's back and the other dude is on dude's legs, you can't tell me that the dude that's on his legs was the cause of the death. Like, you would have to investigate to see if he played a role in the dude dying. Yeah, bro, you need a gun. But I'm gonna show you something. So this right here. So I don't want to play this video. I don't want to play this video because this video is very graphic. But Dallas police body cams shows moment Tony Timpa stopped breathing. This exact same thing happened to a white guy in 2016. The exact same thing happened to this dude in 2016. And as he was begging for his life, the police laughed at him and mocked him. They mocked him while he died. The exact same thing that happened to him happened to Floyd. The only difference is white people are not destroying neighborhoods. Like, injustice sucks, but I don't even think these cops have been convicted of anything. Like, destroying your own neighborhood isn't going to help anybody. Like, it's not. Like, here, I'm gonna look up. I'm gonna play this video. I want you to see this. And this is what I'm saying about. Okay, so now that I got to the part that I wanted to show, she said that they're talking to other cities and they're going to keep rioting and they want to riot until all the cops in the United States are arrested where people are being killed. Like that's like nothing is going to satisfy this. Nothing's going to satisfy it. Like I'm sorry to say, but nothing is going to end up satisfying the riots. And it's not. This is you can't negotiate or placate to that. Like we're gonna riot until there's we're gonna riot until all the cops in the country are arrested. Like how the hell would that work? That doesn't even make any sense. Like don't get me wrong. Like what happened to what happened to Floyd is bad, but like yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like you can hear the hate in her heart as she's speaking. Like there's so much hate that it's not nothing's logical. Like literally, well, the listen, all of this stuff was planned. Like the deep state, the faction of government that's been losing power, that's trying to gain power, planned it. Yes. Like here, I'll show you another video. like there are people that are trying to gain power from this, and they're going to use anything by any means necessary to do that. Like that's what communists and revolutionaries do. So like just guys, don't fall for the hate, and don't fall for being canned fodder, because that's exactly what's going to happen. Is like we don't know. Like he's been arrested, he's been charged. The autopsy says that he didn't die of asphyxiation, so that means he wasn't choked. Like we don't know what's going on, and burning down buildings and stuff is not like it's not things aren't going to work out for everybody, and things are just going to get worse, guys. So stay safe. Like go watch alternative media. Like keep your eye on what's going on. Like just just watch out. That's all I can say. Is just watch out, guys. Like if you guys like it, subscribe. If you guys want to see any of my artwork, like my photography, like you can check me out at savage_red_recovery on my Instagram. All my photography goes up on my Instagram. Like I have a like I've got a Facebook. You guys can find me at Savage Red Recovery, and you guys can find me on Patreon at Savage Red Recovery. Um, Anyone that joins the Patreon is able to have my number and contact me directly. You guys can also email me. I don't know if like how long it will take me to get back to you. I don't check my email every day or all day, but it's at savageredrecovery@gmail.com. Like I'm gonna get off here and make something to eat, but I just wanted to get out there and let people know that like everyone supports the fact that this man shouldn't have died, but we just not everyone supports the fires and the burning and the terror that's being instilled in people. And even if the protesters aren't doing it and the rioters are hijacking the protest, it's the best thing to do is for the protesters to leave, so that they can't be used as cover for the rioters. Because the problem of it is when you're in a zone of conflict, you're in the area and there's conflict going on, people aren't going to say, oh well, he's got a sign, he's okay. Like people are just going to act like they're going to act accordingly, and you're going to get stuck in between a rock and a hard place. Like it, like especially at night, don't be out there protesting at night, because as soon as stuff goes south at night, like as soon as the nightfall hits, it's getting crazy. So just be safe. Like you guys can protest all you want, but just think about when the riots start happening. Like for the best safety for yourself is just leave until they can get these riots and stuff under control. Then protest. Like like it sucks, but like it's just it's not safe, and it's not going to make anything better by protesting, because the message is being hijacked. all like all that's going to end up happening is you're going to get associated with these rioters, and the message is going to get lost on deaf ears, because a person's building that gets burnt down is not going to care about this person was protesting but that person was rioting. Like either way, they like these businesses that have been closed that were just now about to open, and now they're getting burnt to the ground. So that means that who knows if they'll be able to open or when. Like it's about it comes down to personal safety and personal responsibility. Like just like if you're out, if you guys are out at a bar and someone starts shooting at the bar, you're not going to stand there and say, oh well, I wasn't doing nothing, so they're not going to shoot me. You're going to move. You're going to do what's best for you. The same thing should happen when it comes to this riot. Once the riot breaks, get out of there. Stop protesting. Stop being down there, because the people that are trying to cause all this mayhem are using you as cover. they're using you guys as a guise to be able to get away with stuff, because the more people that are down there and the more chaos that's going down there, the more likely they are to get away. And if they get away, they'll be able to go and do it again. That's not to say that Floyd's death is just. It's not to say that police brutality in all ways needs to stop. It's not. I'm not saying that at all. But you can't get mad that people that stand near the fire and get burned. Like, while the riots are going, being down there, you are putting yourself in the fire. But like I said, if you guys like, comment, subscribe, let me know what's going on. I'll have more content coming out this week. I'm sure these riots are not going to stop. So I'm sure it's going to be all over the news cycle. But yeah, guys, just stay safe. Just stay safe, because it's not worth your life. Protesting is not worth your life. You're not going to be able to help nobody if you're dead. No one can help anyone if they're dead. All right, guys. I'll see you later.